Hello and welcome to SpyHards Podcast. I'm Agent Scott.
And I'm Cam the Provocateur, looking like a de-aged Billy Bob Thornton.
You do, don't you?
I do.
Stop it. Stop. Everyone wants you to stop.
When I started this week's movie, and he popped up in a de-aged form at the start, I really had a moment of like, oh my god, is that what he looks like the whole movie? Thankfully, no, not the case. But I don't think it was CG de-aging. I think it was actually just makeup and awkward hair pieces and whatever, but it looked questionable.
Definitely an awkward hairpiece. Definitely an awkward hairpiece. That's what stood out to me.
Everything about it was awkward.
Are you starting your review already?
No, that really would not factor too much into my overall take on a movie, but it was the kind of thing where I was like, Billy Bob, what have they done to you?
Oh, you poor boy, Billy.
Yeah.
Come here. I don't know. But there are a lot of things I want to talk about when it comes to this film. I've got a lot to say. So, Cam, why don't you bring us in? What are we talking about?
We are tackling The Gray Man from 2022, starring Ryan Gosling, Chris Evans, and Ana de Armas, and directed by the Russo brothers, who famously had the Avengers take down Thanos.
And then went off to make some films like this. And then they gave up on that. And now they're back doing Marvel stuff.
That is correct. Yes, they are currently wading through, I'm sure, the absolute chaos that is Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. I don't envy them doing those films. That seems like almost a no-win assignment.
I don't feel any sympathy because I'm sure their bank accounts are very fat.
Oh, I'm sure that is, obviously a factor for sure. But I just like, when they were going into Infinity War and Endgame, there's a real sense of like, look, this is a difficult assignment, but if we pull it off, people are going to be rapturously entertained by this. Whereas like now they are going steeply uphill with having to pay off a lot of movies people didn't really connect with.
I see it the other way around. I see a lot of goodwill heading into Infinity War and Endgame, but a lot of expectation.
Sure.
Like, there's a lot of threading the needle to bring those two films together.
True.
Whereas the last few years of Marvel films have been so mediocre.
Yeah.
Everyone's expectations are just so low at this point that they're like, oh, they did a good film? Wow.
But also like just the box office drop off. So
Sure.
you look at how much these movies are costing.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's almost no way for it to be the sort of smashing success they had before. Like, it will probably make decent money, but at the end of the day, will it just turn into, well, they did well enough, but, when compared to the previous ones, they were a real step down.
Oh, I think that will absolutely be the case.
Yeah.
I just hope they make a good film in the process.
Me too, but I don't even think it's possible to make a great film out of this at this point.
I'm remaining cautiously optimistic.
Okay.
Which is not something I'd say about a sequel to The Grey Man.
Sure. We'll get to that.
We will. But if you've never encountered The Grey Man before, first of all, it's on Netflix worldwide. You can go and find it. It's there. But here is your synopsis. And weirdly, it's quite short.
Well, I think the plot is actually very basic to this movie.
That's true. The Grey Man. When a shadowy CIA agent uncovers damning agency secrets, he's hunted across the globe by a sociopathic rogue operative who's put a bounty on his head.
Yeah.
That's the film.
I mean, I don't know. I don't want to make fun of it for being simplistic because a lot of spy movies could have very simplistic plot synopses, and some do. We've definitely had a few that were like, 8 words.
I think there's a problem when it comes to the plot of this film that we'll get into.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. But I guess then the next big question is, what was your initial journey with The Grey Man? Because we did do an episode on this years ago when it came out in 2022, I think it was.
Yep.
It was actually me, and I think, was it Tom Butler?
No, it was actually George.
That was George Aldridge from Cinema Savvy, because all three of us had gone to see it at a press screening. So I saw this on the big screen. So we did a little declassified, quick sort of 35, 40-minute review on the film. But I haven't touched it since.
And I remember how enthusiastic the two of you were actually about it in that review.
Yeah, I think I was then. Yeah.
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 My first experience with The Gray Man was like so many other people, just watching it on Netflix at home. And
So you did see it on release then? It wasn't just now, this is your first time watching it?
no, I saw it way back when it was released on Netflix. It
Okay.
wasn't one I held on to for the show, like the Jamie Foxx, Cameron Diaz one, Back in Action.
Oh, I bet you're glad you held on to that one though, right?
It really delivered, yeah, in spades. No, that was one where I just was like, you know what? I'll be watching this for the show at some point. I'll just hold off for now. And it's
Sure.
not like there was like a huge hoopla around the release of Back in Action versus The Gray Man, which especially those first few Netflix blockbusters, I'll put in quotes, they were released with a lot of fanfare. Like, think of when we tackled the Gal Gadot one, whose name I'm completely forgetting at the moment because it was so memorable a movie.
Heart of Stone.
Thank you, Heart of Stone. Like, there was a big deal about the release of that because you've mentioned it on that episode. We were in Vegas and they were showing it on the big banners, the big video banners in Vegas, the trailers for that movie. And so, like, early on, Netflix was making a huge deal for these releases, and The Gray Man really fell under that. So I was like, okay, well, I got to watch this, the first week it's released.
Would you remember, like, Bird Box? It was everywhere.
Yeah. And I watched Bird Box right when
yeah.
it came out as well. And also, this is something we don't talk about usually on the show, but there was something else factoring into these movies as well, which was that, like, a lot of the, podcasts I listen to that cover film were all tackling these movies the week they came out. And so if I wanted to keep up with things like the Slash Film Cast, I needed to watch these movies, that opening weekend to then listen to the episode that week. Now, they have definitely curtailed that a bit, where a lot of these big streaming movies are mentioned more in the what we've been watching, 20-minute section before the big review of the week. And so, not as much the case. There was not a Back in Action episode, for example.
But there was a Gray Man episode.
There was a Gray Man. There was, I don't remember, there might have been a Heart of Stone one. But again, that was very much a kind of pandemic coming out of the pandemic kind of thing, where a lot of these bigger movies that these streaming services were putting out were getting a lot more attention than they get now.
Sure. And I think, we were still living a little bit inside that COVID bubble where we were home a lot more. And yeah,
a lot of people are hesitant about going to the movies still. And so theatrical releases, the grosses were all way down, with the exception of something like Spider-Man No Way Home. And so it was kind of seen that, well, maybe this is the future, is these big, big budget blockbusters just on streaming. And that's proven to...
They laid it on thick for the press screening too. Like, there was a full spread. I think there was a chance of me doing press for it, but I couldn't do it with work if my memory serves. But also, like, the day there, they had like champagne and loads of like free snacks for the cinema. They were really, really laying it on thick. Last time I experienced that was Section 31.
Right. Yeah. Oh my God. Which, not a huge amount of fanfare for the release of that in comparison to something like The Gray Man.
No, but they did try their best with press. Even you did the press day for that.
That's true. They did like very much target, especially like kind of the geek press, for lack of a better term, like more the genre press.
Well, what do we fall under?
I think that geek press.
Geek press. Is that like that sounds like a gym move.
It does actually, but I think if you are going to target something, well, like The Gray Man, you would look at shows like ours and be like, well, they're speaking to an audience who enjoys spy films, ergo target them.
Or
it'd be more, I guess,
films or
more like niche interests is probably a nicer term than like geek
I like geek press.
Geek press. Yeah, let's go with that.
Next time I go to the gym, I'll do some geek press for everyone. 3 sets of 10. Yeah, geek press.
No, you should, whenever you go to like a event in London through some sort of connections with the podcast, you should wear one of those old-timey hats with the card in the like lapel that says geek press.
And I have like a little pen behind my ear or something like that. It's a pencil. It has to be a pencil, actually.
Pencil.
And a little pad. Yeah, sure, I'll do that.
Okay, cool.
Right.
So I watched this one opening weekend, and I remember watching it just in a normal evening alone. And
very specific with the watch details here. Okay, what were you wearing, Cam?
But I remember watching it, and it had all the features you would kind of expect from a, kind of 0-calorie, big budget action spy kind of thing. Like, it doesn't look or, in terms of the parts, it doesn't feel radically different from something like, I don't know, Triple X, like the third one,
Mhm.
The Return of Xander Cage, like the budget was probably more than Xander Cage, but, it's like, okay, there's your action set pieces. You've got your stars. It's glossy, but it just felt very like leaden and lacking in momentum. And I remember just like getting really kind of like feeling the tedium pile up over the course of the movie as I was watching it. And
Mm.
it's a feeling I've experienced with a few of these streaming blockbusters where the parts are there, they're recognizable to that which I would pay to see in theaters, but there's just like a sluggishness to them, and they just don't connect in a way where I feel like they hit those kind of pleasure centers that
Oh.
even like a mediocre even like a mediocre, big budget movie on the big screen does.
Sure, but also, like, I don't think this is not me coming out to defend it. This is me just being the contrarian to your point. I don't think these films are tooled to that.
No, but when I look at the budgets, I go, well, they clearly want to make something. Like, I'll just say right now, this movie cost $200 million.
Yeah,
That's huge money for this type of movie.
is that the cast and COVID delays though?
It could be a bit of that. It wasn't COVID delays, but that would have been shooting during the pandemic.
Yeah.
But Netflix right up front was like, we are paying $200 million. We want this to be our new James Bond.
And you see it. You see it in the marketing. You see it in the film. They want that for sure. And in some ways, you can hold this up against a Bond film. In some ways,
Sure. In some ways, I can think of one in particular.
yeah.
But I'll mention that later down the road. But no, I just found it really kind of dull to sit through, and it just left zero impression other than like, well, these are actors I really like, kind of wasting their time.
Okay. But of course, we'll get to your thoughts now. They've all changed since you've become a massive Grey fan.
100%. You can see my Gray Man T-shirt I'm wearing right now.
You're the number one Grey fan.
I have been listening to Silverbird on a loop ever since I saw that movie.
Don't get me started on that fucking yacht rock in this film. I just what is it? What is it with modern films and having these needle drops? I think James Gunn has ruined filmmaking.
Well, I mean, you would have said Tarantino if this were earlier, but Tarantino did it, obviously, and really repopularized that. But you know what? Scorsese did it before him, and there's been other filmmakers along the way. But James Gunn, the success of the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack, I think, really kicked that off. Plus, Guardians falls under the Marvel umbrella, and so do the Russos.
That is 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon connection there. Fair enough.
Yeah.
What's the spy equivalent of that? 007 degrees of.
Well, who's the character actor who's popped up the most throughout spy films? That's how you do it, I think.
Oh, okay. I see. I was thinking of like maybe we should do something where we connect each film to the next film, because we do these like disparate films every week. But can we do it in like 7 moves? And if we can't, we shouldn't cover it.
I wonder if you could connect everything to George Sanders in some way.
I hope so. I think you do something like Jungle Book would be a good, like, because you could go to Disney. If you can get to Disney, you can get to Jungle Book, you can get to George Sanders. That's a pretty easy one.
The Gray Man was directed by the Russos, who work in the Marvel Universe under Disney,
2.
which made the Jungle Book,
3.
which connects to Lancer Spy.
Oh.
We did like Lancer Spy to the Gray Man in like 4 moves.
I actually want to keep doing this. This is actually fun. I'm going to write this down. 007. We need like degrees to, if not Kevin Bacon, though. 007 degrees of spy movies?
It's to Sanders, isn't it?
Is it always to Sanders?
Yeah, it's to George Sanders.
I thought the idea is we connect it to the last episode, because like we do these weird, wacky films jumping decades, but we can try and connect it. Like what was last week, and then we'll obviously announce next week at the end of the show and see if we can connect it.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll have to think about that. I don't even know what we're doing next week. I will look that up over the course of recording this episode.
That's how prepared Cam is.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I like that. I do maybe also want to try and connect every film to George Sanders. That does also sound fun.
That is amazing, actually.
Okay, so that's your backstory. That's that. I hadn't really approached it since I saw it in the press screening. And I also will note before we get to the behind the scenes, originally Cam and I were going to have a guest on this episode. And then I put it out on social media. And I said, hey, is there any like big fans of the Grey Man out there? I've never heard so many crickets.
Not since Pinocchio.
No. Back to George Sanders somehow. I mean, a lot of people said like, oh yeah, I saw the film. And that was it. It was never like, oh, I saw the film and I liked it. It was just like, oh, I saw the film. And so I just find that interesting getting into the review side in a minute. But like, it is a film that happened.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get to like the box office behind like that side of the behind the scenes. Obviously, it wasn't released, but there are some numbers online about this film I think that are definitely worth discussing.
Yeah.
But let's get to it. How did this man get so grey?
Well, hold on. You skipped over your experience for those that didn't listen to your Grey Man episode before.
Oh, well, I mean, I saw it at the cinema and I was quite pleased with it, really. I found it to be fairly watchable. I had some problems with a few things. I had some problems with some CG. I had some problems with the length of it. But I think overall I had a nice experience in the theaters.
This movie's 2 hours and feels so much longer.
Yeah, that was one of the things I said. I think, like, especially around the middle,
yeah,
it just starts to sag. And when you come to a second viewing of this film, and there is nothing left to discover, and it's not like you're watching, like, I don't know, The Exorcist or something for the second time, or you're watching Psycho for the second time, you can be like, well, this is a great filmmaker here. Let me look at some of the things he's doing to make a film. There's not a lot here to pick apart in the second viewing.
No, and I remember going back just for the review, and in my head, I was like, okay, I got to put aside like 2 hours and 20 minutes to watch The Gray Man.
Yeah.
And when I saw it, it was like, I mean, when you take away the credits and the kind of tacked on ads at the end of a Netflix airing, it's under 2 hours. I think it's like an hour 58.
It's like 1:55. Yeah, something like that.
But boy, oh boy, is that not my memory of watching it.
No. Although to be fair, I watched the second hour of this the second time round doing cardio in the gym. So I viewed it as it was meant to be viewed on a phone.
I mean, yeah, that's a whole other conversation just about how Netflix even cares about how you're watching these movies. Or if you are watching it, if you just have it on in the background while you're cooking dinner.
I mean, I often put Netflix on for my dog when I go out.
Sure.
I wonder if he's a big Grey Man fan.
Like, what horrible content is being generated just because of Mac's attention to the TV?
And he does watch it, actually. He sits there and watches. We put Friends on a lot.
Oh, okay.
He quite likes that.
Okay, that's decent.
Yeah, that's fair. But I haven't made him sit through Grey Man, but I am going to leave him in the house for a few hours tomorrow. Maybe I'll put it on again. But then Netflix knows I'm watching it for a second time in a week. They'll think I'm a huge fan of the Grey Man.
Well,
like targeted ads. This guy.
Well, they're like, get that sequel rolling. Scott is waiting.
One person is, but Cam, let's do it. Take us behind the scenes.
Okay, so this was based on a book by Mark Greaney, which was published in 2009, and the original kind of conception of the Gray Man idea was actually he wrote a book called Goon Squad and took it to his agent, and the book was never published. They just felt like it wasn't really marketable, and it was just kind of a concept that just kind of drifted away. But they said, hey, hold on.
Sounds like a podcast I know.
There's a character in the first chunk of this book, Goon Squad, that maybe you should look at examining and turning into like its own kind of idea. And that became the Gray Man. And to date, there are 15 books, with the latest one just coming out, I think, early in next year, called The Hardline. And so, like, this is an ongoing series. This is like whether you want to call it Bond or, Bourne or something, like in terms of the literary world, the Gray Man is an ongoing thing. And Greaney has also written 7 Jack Ryan novels as well under the Tom Clancy banner.
Okay, so a prolific spy novelist is behind the concept. That's got some credibility.
Yeah, and he wouldn't be brought in to write Jack Ryan novels under Tom Clancy's name if they didn't think he had the credentials to do so.
Sure.
Yeah.
We've seen like some of these books get turned into very successful films and shows. I mean, obviously Bond is one thing, but even Slow Horses is powering through from Mick Herron's books. So anything's possible.
Without remorse.
I still have quite a bit of remorse about that film.
Yeah, there's another streaming one.
Do you remember it? Do you remember anything about that film?
I remember there was like a finale, I think on a rooftop with a sniper rifle.
Oh boy. The only thing I remember is someone being trapped in a car when it's on fire.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, that's all I've got.
Okay. Well,
That was going to be a whole series.
it was. Yeah, yeah. In 2011, New Regency Films snapped up the rights to The Gray Man and hired director James Gray to oversee the movie. Now, James Gray is a
Holy
very
irony.
esteemed director. Yeah, no kidding. That they were like, we need a gray man. Where do we? There. Oh, there he is, right
Whoa!
there.
Guys, I've got the craziest idea. They're going to love this. The marketing department will go mad.
They were looking to do a crossover and bring in Dakota Johnson and call it 50 Shades of Gray Man. Oh,
We were doing so well.
we were.
The funny thing is, the funny thing is, Cam does not like being derailed during these sections because he has a whole script he writes out. He's very anal with this, and then he comes out with a joke like that and just completely takes the energy out of the room. I mean,
I know, just sucks
that's
it completely
on you.
out.
And speaking of Gray Man,
yes, James Gray, director who's done really celebrated movies like Two Lovers, The Immigrant, Lost City of Zed, Ad Astra, Armageddon Time. He was going to direct this, which really leads me to believe that that version of The Gray Man would have been tonally very different than this.
just because of the style of film he was making.
He's much more of an art house director and more of a serious director. I think it would have been a little more of a gritty, kind of stripped down spy thing versus the kind of glossier movie we'll talk about later.
Sure, I could see an argument for that. Yeah.
Because I did read a synopsis of the book, and the book does sound a little grittier. Not quite in terms of differences. It's not like the Matt Helm books versus the movies, but it does sound like the books are a little less tongue-in-cheek, quirky than this movie is.
It doesn't open up with conversations about bubble gum.
No, I don't get that sense. No. And so that actually, that film would have been written by Adam Kozad, who at the time had the upcoming Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit to his name. It hadn't been shot yet, but that's what he'd written. That's the Chris Pine version. And
right, okay, wow, all the way
yeah,
back then.
Yeah, this is 2011, and
wow, okay, right.
and so he would go on also to write The Legend of Tarzan and the Kristen Stewart horror film Underwater, which was actually pretty good. And Brad Pitt was attached to star in this film.
I could see that.
Right? Like, does that feel pretty obvious?
If you tell me the next generation on from Brad Pitt is Ryan Gosling, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense.
It does. So, yeah, that was the plan for The Gray Man at that point, but it just kind of languished over time. People were busy, and
you make it sound like it's an appointment. Like, you have a voicemail and they think, hey, could we do this Gray Man thing? Oh, leave a message after. Oh, okay, I'll call you back. Sorry. Like, I think it's a bit more to it than that.
Well, I would have to wonder too, just Brad Pitt's schedule in terms of,
and the script, was it in the right place? And
yeah, but Brad Pitt is a producer and an actor, so like I think he has a pretty packed schedule, especially around that time period. So I'm sure it was kind of like we would have to shoot it at this point to make this happen, and it probably just wasn't coming together for whatever reason, and so it just kind of, that version dropped away. And so in 2015, they announced that Sony Pictures had taken over this project, and Charlize Theron would be starring in the film.
I mean, would you change the title, or?
That's an excellent question. I had the same thought. You would have to, right? It would be called The Grey Woman.
Well, no, you could absolutely do it as the Grey Man. I'm not going to say that at all, because it could just be like a figure.
True.
Man as in entity, not man as in gender.
Sure.
So I guess you could do it. I think you'd raise a couple of eyebrows.
I guess.
Like not in like a oh my god thing, but more like in a what?
Yeah. So that ultimately didn't go anywhere, but that script, they tossed out the previous one, and they had a rewritten script by Joe and Anthony Russo, who Yeah, so there we go. There's in 2015 where the connective points are happening with the current version.
Hmm.
But Charlize Theron obviously doesn't do it. And it's interesting, I think 2 years later, after this announcement, she does Atomic Blonde.
Oh, right.
So it really does feel like she was looking for a spy action film at this point in time.
She was Charlize Theron. Oh, fuck. I messed up my own joke.
You made fun of my joke, so I'm just going to let that sit there.
I was going to say Ther off the project.
Oof. You know what?
Really,
You
it
should
wasn't
not have
worth
been taking shots at me at all with that one.
I think we've opened up and even the playing field at this point.
Yes. So writer, director, producers Joe and Anthony Russo. Let's talk a bit about them.
Must we?
They got their start in 1997 writing and directing the crime comedy Pieces, which was followed up by the 2002 crime comedy Welcome to Collinwood, starring George Clooney and Sam Rockwell, a movie that I have absolutely no memory of existing.
I've never heard of it, but given the cast, you'd think it'd have some sort of a following.
Like George Clooney in particular. Like I can name pretty much every George Clooney movie of that time period.
Yeah, that's him, like in the Boon of Clooney.
Yeah.
The Boonie, if anything.
The Blooney?
Blooney? We're both not doing well on puns today, are we, folks? This is
No,
not
we're not.
great.
No.
But yeah, like he'd come off of ER, he'd done Oh Brother Where Art Thou and everything by this point. Like it was Ocean's 11 is around this time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ocean's 11 is 2001, so this would have been the year after.
Yeah, so yeah, big Clooney moment, and I never heard of that. Fair enough.
Yeah, and they were saying welcome to Collinwood, but audiences said goodbye to Collinwood and didn't show up at the theater.
We're gonna keep
And
doing this all episode, folks.
we are.
Just strap
we are.
in.
And so the Russos wound up just directing TV. They did 10 episodes of Arrested Development, and spent a bit of time there. But in 2006, directed the movie You, Me, and Dupree with Owen Wilson and Michael Douglas, which was like kind of a flashy release that didn't perform particularly well.
I seem to recall the title.
Yeah, I did see the movie at home. I just have no memories of it whatsoever.
What stayed in your head longer, You, Me, and Dupree, or The Grey Man?
Gray Man, for sure. I can't tell you
Okay.
a single thing about You, Me, and Dupree.
Fair. I can't push you for it.
Yeah. So then after Yumi and Dupree, they go back to directing, and they did Happy Endings for TV, Up All Night, and Community, a show you're a huge fan of.
Yeah. Love Community. Also love Arrested Development. The guys have pedigree in comedy, for sure.
100%. And at this point, around the time of Community, they are attached to direct a big movie. And that movie is The Gray Man.
Okay. So this has been on their radar for a very long time.
So that would have been the version of the Charlize Theron movie. Which is
So
being
they
rewritten.
were attached to write and direct then?
Yeah, like it gets very convoluted. When you read the actual reports about the Charlize Theron one, they do not mention them as directors. But if you look at the facts afterwards that they've now discovered, it was like they were basically up for doing The Gray Man. And I'm guessing this would have been filmed between Captain America 2 and 3. Because if you actually look at their filmography in the wake of Captain America Civil War, there's a 2-year gap. So I'm wondering if that's where it would have fallen. And then they would go on and do Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame. And after Endgame, yeah, as you said, they had done some odd things. Like they did the movie Cherry with Tom Holland that kind of didn't really go anywhere on streaming. And
I think that was one that like is quite often ridiculed online. I see that get mentioned quite a lot.
It was actually promoted a lot because it was like, oh, the Russos coming out of Endgame, plus, it's kind of a gritty drama with Tom Holland, and then everyone saw it and just kind of rolled their eyes.
That does seem to be the course of their work post Endgame, though, doesn't it?
It does, because Gray Man comes after Cherry, and then more recently they did The Electric State with Chris Pratt that, oh boy, was that torn apart online.
Another beloved original bit of art turned into a film, and everyone hated it again.
Yeah.
Well, people didn't hate The Grey Man on release.
No, I think it was more mixed.
Yeah, I think that's the impression I got. I remember when we posted the episode and I was quite pro it, I caught some flack for being like, "Oh, how could you think this was a good film?" I said I enjoyed it. I didn't say it was a good film.
Yeah, I think like the Rotten Tomatoes was like 50%. Like it was a real
Sure.
split down the middle.
But like even these days, I mean, we could get into the discussion about Rotten Tomatoes or
Sure.
if it's even a valid metric anymore because they game the system for these things.
Totally. But like Metacritic, I think was like 49 or 48 or something,
Sure.
which is again is pretty split. That's among
Yeah.
pretty legit critics. But yes, in 2020, right during the pandemic, actually, they announced they'd be directing The Gray Man, and Joe would also be co-writing it for Netflix. And at that point, Ryan Gosling was announced.
As a package, that's pretty handsome.
Definitely.
Like you got the guys who smash hit Endgame. You could move Cherry over to one side because it was like an artsy kind of film. You could just sort of forget about it. But this is their big calling card coming out of Endgame. We've got Ryan Gosling as the lead. You soon, I'm sure, announce Anna de Armas and Chris Evans.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get it.
Yeah, I mean, Netflix was definitely paying a lot for star power, and still is.
That's
whenever
the thing.
they
That's
do
their
these
calling
movies.
card now. Is it is big names.
Yeah, because actually, the Russos also were attached to the Extraction films. Had writing credits on them.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, and so like that's another one. Chris Hemsworth is doing
know that.
Extraction movies, and they're producing those.
I didn't know they had anything to do with that.
Yeah, and those are much more popular. And there's an upcoming Extraction TV series as well that they are attached to.
Good for them.
Yeah, and so it wasn't just Joe Russo writing this film. You also had Stephen McFeely and Christopher Marcus, who we've talked about in the past. They're an American writing team and started out doing a little bit of TV before they did the 2004 biopic, The Life and Death of Peter Sellers, and rolled that into the Chronicles of Narnia movies, and then Captain America, First Avenger.
Aha. That's where I got them from. Right.
And then, outside of Pain and Gain, which is off to the side, but they do Thor, The Dark World, the second and third Captain America films, the Agent Carter TV series, Infinity War, and Endgame, and then Gray Man.
Have they done anything since?
They are working currently on Doomsday and Secret Wars.
Oh, so they've got the whole gang back for those films.
Yes, and so the Gray Man really is kind of a Marvel team-up.
Yeah, in cast and behind the scenes by the seams of it.
Yeah, and there was also a lot of writing contributions to the script for the Gray Man, which I don't normally stumble across, but there was a note about this. There's several other writers, and often, pretty much all the time, big blockbusters have writers you're not really aware who they are.
Yeah.
That do script work on them. Gray Man, it's actually really easy to find out who worked on this movie. So, I've got some of the names. Charles Levitt, who worked on Blood Diamond and Warcraft, worked on the movie. Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, who did Deadpool, the 3 Deadpool films, and Zombieland 1 and 2.
Sure.
They were on it. And Anna Gregory and Joel Shrapnel, the writing team who did the Rebecca remake and G.I. Joe Origins Snake Eyes, were also contributing to The Gray Man.
A lot of slick action with a slice of comedy or a twist of comedy, perhaps, in a lot of those films. There's generally a through line with those 5 names.
All like, not so much Levitt, who's doing like Blood Diamond and Warcraft. I wouldn't say he's as slick and comedy driven, but like the other ones are definitely right in line tone wise with what this movie's doing.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. And so, as I said, Netflix had ambitions to launch their own James Bond franchise with this, and $200 million budget. With the release, it was the 5th biggest launch week for a Netflix film, behind Red Notice, Don't Look Up, the DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence film, The Kissing Booth 3, and The Atom Project.
Right.
Now, I would say of those films, Don't Look Up kind of stands outside of that one. It kind of falls under that. I mean, it's very much an Oscar film. It was nominated for several Oscars, and that's an Adam McKay prestige project that was just on Netflix, versus the other ones which feel much more like Netflix-driven content.
Yeah, Don't Look Up had some noise.
Didn't care for the movie, but yes, it had noise.
Yeah. A lot of people didn't care for that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And not just because of the movie itself. Some people just didn't like the actual message.
Sure.
If I recall. But otherwise, I've not really experienced any of those other films I think you mentioned.
I watched Red Notice,
yeah.
but I did not watch Kissing Booth or Atom Project.
Is this the list of the most watched films?
At the time of release, Gray Man fell in at the number 5 spot for the most watched films in their first opening weekend on Netflix.
Yeah, because I've got a listing in front of me that is up to date because it features K-pop Demon Hunters, which is taking the world by storm.
What's the current list?
Well, this is the top 10 most viewed Netflix films of all time.
Okay.
I won't read you them all, but can you take a guess as to where Grey Man is on there? But where does the Grey Man sit?
I'm gonna say lower down, maybe like 9.
You got that spot on. Wow.
Boom.
There you go. Number 9, sandwiched between Leave the World Behind and Damsel.
I don't know what those are.
Leave the World Behind is a apocalyptic psychological thriller by director Sam Esmail with Julia Roberts and Mashallah Ali.
Oh, of course. Of course, yes.
And Damsel is a 2024 dark fantasy film by Juan Carlos Fresnadillo and starring Millie Bobby Brown.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a young audience, so definitely drive that one.
But the real interesting bit of information is the amount of times it's been watched.
Mm-hmm.
Like, have you got that information in front of you?
No, go for it.
Okay. So, just to preface, K-pop Demon Hunter, and this has not been updated in a few weeks because K-pop Demon Hunter is still tracking. It's still getting most views every week on Netflix, so this number goes up by the week. K-pop Demon Hunter has been viewed 314 million times.
Yeah.
As of this list being updated, The Grey Man has been viewed 139 million times. Or, sorry, by unique households. So they may have rewatched it. Might be multiple views, but 139 million times uniquely.
Which is actually interesting because I believe in that debut weekend it was like 88 million. So that's not a huge multiplier.
Well, it's almost double since.
But that's like multiple years.
Yeah.
That's 3 days versus 3 years.
Well, I don't think people are going back to Grey Man, but I think it had its moment in the sun.
Agreed.
But this is what I find really interesting about these Netflix films, and maybe it's a wider discussion we can have one day. Is like the other bit of interesting information here is one step above all those films I mentioned. Number 7 is Back in Action, which we've already spoken about before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With 147 million views, and that only came out this year.
Right.
So 147 million households doesn't necessarily mean people, a whole family could have watched it, have watched that film. But the stats on our end don't say the same thing.
Is The Irishman on there?
Sorry, Cam. It's not.
Oh, that's depressing. That's depressing.
Okay, do you want to know the rest of them?
Give me like the top 5.
Okay, K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yeah.
Red Notice.
Yeah.
Carry On.
Okay.
Don't Look Up. And The Adam Project.
People love The Adam Project, a movie that I have never even bothered looking into.
I don't know what the premise is. I know it's like sci-fi, but
it's like Ryan Reynolds, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and Zoe Saldana.
It's like Sean Levy. It's like them working together before Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, it is Sean Levy. Yeah.
Yeah, and what was the other one they made together? The video game one, where Ryan Reynolds is a video game character.
Not Six Underground.
It's not. I keep thinking Fall Guy, but it's not the Fall Guy. That's Ryan Gosling.
Oh, you're almost there. It's like based on a TV show.
No, it's not.
No, but isn't the title the same as a TV show?
No, that's the Fall Guy. The Fall Guy was based on a TV show.
Oh no, you're right. I'm so sorry. Sorry. We'll never know.
Yeah, it was a movie that I didn't care for. I can remember that much.
I saw that in theaters.
Good lord.
Because co-starred Jodie Comer from Killing Eve, and I liked her in that, so I went and watched it.
Did you go and see The Last Duel, the Ridley Scott film?
No, I didn't.
That she starred in?
Nor did I see. Well, I didn't like the film. I didn't like the one we were just talking about, so I didn't go back for that. And nor did I see her in The Bike Riders.
Infinitely better films while you were wasting your time with that Ryan Reynolds schlock
that we can't even name.
Yeah. It's not Inside Man, and it's not The Fall Guy. It's like
you just got to let it. It'll come to us naturally throughout the episode. People at home are screaming it, and I love that.
Anyways, the opening weekend that this movie dropped on Netflix, they announced the sequel and said that Gosling, Dhanush, and the Russo brothers would all be returning. And
sorry, Anna.
Also,
we didn't want you back.
Well, they didn't announce her right up front. I guess contractually, maybe she wasn't attached. But also shortly after, they announced there would be a spin-off co-written by Wernick and Reese, who've done, obviously, as I said, Deadpool and Zombieland films.
What?
And that would be possibly about Dhanush's character.
It did feel like it was kind of like a backdoor pilot for him in many ways.
It did, yeah. So there was that possibility as well floating. The top 3 box office for the year, not that that's relevant, given that the theatrical release of Gray Man was very small, but Avatar: The Way of Water was number 1, Top Gun: Maverick number 2, and number 3 was Jurassic World Dominion. The first 2 out of those were all great reasons to go to the theater and not sit and watch Netflix.
Well, to be fair to me, the first time I saw this, I saw it in a theater.
Yeah, but you are, very rare case.
Yeah. I don't think they ever even opened it. It was just a press screening, is the only reason I saw it.
They did, I think, do a very, very tiny release, and it just made like a couple $100,000.
Sure. Having rewatched it, what we'll get into, I don't think you really should be seeing it on a big screen.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But
Yeah.
anyway, go on.
Okay. And the last note I had was, in 2024, just last year, Joe Russo did an interview with Games Radar and said the sequel is still in active development, but he says, we're very busy. We have about 14 projects going right now.
I think they have something cooking at the moment.
Yeah, I think they are probably pulling out their hairs over the 2 Avengers films, and we'll see.
Well, hey, it wrapped filming the other day, Cam, so I'm sure everything's hunky-dory on that set.
Yeah, but Marvel famously finds their movies in the editing room, so they've only just begun.
It was a joke. Trust me. I know. It's an absolute nightmare for them.
Yeah. And so I have a hard time imagining them finishing that project, those 2 projects, and in like 4 years putting out Gray Man 2 almost 10 years after the original.
Well, we've gotten to this place now where we have these longer waits between sequels. I mean, just look at James Bond. We're still waiting for a follow-up from No Time to Die from 2022.
That one's a little different, though, because of the shifting ownerships and what have you.
Yeah, I agree. I'm getting to that.
I've got a better example.
Well, go on then.
Matt Reeves' The Batman sequel.
Oh, there's no reason why that has not come out by now. And you can't... Some people blame, like, James Gunn for that. It's not that. They just didn't finish the script for years.
Yeah, and I think there was just a lot of limbo going on with the ownership of DC and who was going to run that. Not ownership, but who was going to run DC and what have you. And also the fact that the Batman was shot during the pandemic, which was very difficult, and you're then dealing with actors and, writers' strikes and all that kind of thing. But it is going to be really frustrating having like 6 years between. But I think like there is a built-in audience that will return for the sequel to The Batman in 2027 when it comes out. Whereas I don't know that, if they put out Gray Man 2 in 2027, you're going to have a similar turnout.
See, but this is the thing. You don't know with Netflix. It's a different beast entirely. Like, if you did it say you did this in the 1980s, where sequels came out every 2 years.
Sure.
This is franchise suicide.
Yeah.
But doing it now, like, I don't know. There's K-pop Demon Hunters is a film I'll bring up again.
Yeah.
There's no rhyme or reason as to why it's the most watched film in Netflix history.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure it's good. I actually might watch it because I do like anime. I haven't done it yet, but I probably will watch it. But there's no reason why it should be. So something's just go out and catch fire. There's no reason why they don't put a sequel out to this, and it then ends up on the top 10, and there you go. But the thing I find more interesting about these films, as more of a meta discussion, is how they don't seem to enter the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Like, no one's talking about Grey Man or The Bird Book or whatever it was called.
The Bird Book. No, that's the James Bond one.
Oh, right, yeah.
Come on, that one's good. You got to give me that one.
Yeah, okay, yeah, all right. Like Red Notice, Carry On. Who's talking about Carry On?
What was Carry On?
It was the Taron Egerton,
was that a
plane
Netflix
movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was on Apple or something like that.
No, Netflix.
Okay. Okay.
Third most watched film in Netflix history. Carry On.
Oh, wow.
But it's
okay.
I don't think it's going to make anyone's top 10 of the year.
You have a good point, though. If you put up a poster that has Ryan Gosling's face on it that just says Gray Man 2 on Netflix, people are going to watch it.
Yeah, because of the 100-odd million households that watch this film, how many watch this film?
True. I will say, though, about K-pop, I think that speaks more to a shifting tide in what interests are with audiences, and you're seeing younger audiences make their voices louder and louder.
Good.
And I think when you see like the diminishing returns on stuff like Marvel movies and whatever, that just speaks to the next trend is getting ready to start up, and it's going to be things like K-pop.
Have you watched it?
No, I'm too old.
Oh, okay.
You know what? Honestly, at this point, I think I might. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting that feeling too, like I'm missing out on something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's like I can't remember the name, but like there's an anime film right now that's just crushing the box office.
Demon Slayer.
Demon Slayer. I was like, it's Demon Hunter, Demon Slayer, whatever it was. Yeah, Demon Slayer.
We remembered that film before we remembered the Ryan Reynolds Guy film.
Yeah. Free Guy? Boom.
That was it. He did it.
It's Free Guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everyone's at home is cheering that you finally got there.
Yeah. But I look at like the box office on Demon Slayer, and it's like, this is clearly the next wave.
Well, yeah, it's definitely the younger audience making their voices heard, but also it talks to another bigger topic of how we've kind of fractionalized in our fan bases a little bit. Like we're all sort of siloed. Like I always talk about Taylor Swift when I have this conversation. She's the biggest artist in the world.
Yeah.
Can you name me any of her albums?
1989.
Isn't that a Smashing Pumpkins album?
No. Life of a Showgirl, I think, is the new one.
Okay. Wait, is Cab a Swiftie, everyone?
No, the only song I know of is Shake It Off. I'm sure I've heard others, but I couldn't actually name any of them.
Okay.
But it's just like pop culture penetration. The names have started to pop into my head.
I knew the Showgirl one because it's getting played in theaters this weekend of this recording, just to contemporize when we recorded this. But she is the biggest selling artist in the world. Now, go back to when Michael Jackson was that.
Yeah.
Everyone knew Thriller. Everyone knew Beat It. And it just didn't matter where you went. Everyone knew this stuff.
Or the Beatles or Madonna, artists like that. Yeah.
Yeah, we've gone away from that now. Like, they're a hyper-focused fan base. So the Demon Slayer fan base is, like, devouring this multiple times in a weekend.
Yeah.
And now, like, there's not another sequel. There is a sequel coming for that, but not for another 2 years. And so they're going to just keep rewatching this one. My brother is a big fan. He saw it twice on opening weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I don't know if I'll watch Demon Slayer.
I feel like I might have to. I think, like, as, just a film lover, I'd like to know, like, shifting trends and understanding where things are going. And I do feel like successes of movies like this are important.
Oh, I concur. I don't know if it interests me still. It might be popular with a lot of people. Like, I didn't go and see the Eras tour.
Sure.
It was a very popular tour.
Right. I look at concert films a little differently, but yeah.
No, I meant the actual tour itself, not the concert film.
Oh, oh, yeah. Well, I wasn't going to that tour. Not a chance.
No. But do you have any more for the? We spiraled off into other colors, especially Taylor Swift. But could we get back to Grey Man, Cam?
Yeah. Let's get to it. The behind the scenes is done.
All right. Let's talk about the Grey Man. We've set it up. We've teased everyone. Let's go whole hog.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to start, or would you like me to start?
Why don't you go?
I have done a bit of a 180 on this film.
Not a 360.
Not a 360, no. No. I didn't enjoy it that much. I jumped, but I faced the other direction.
Yeah. You weren't like starting it being like, I hate you, and then circling back, I love you again.
No, I'm not that manic.
Right.
Not today, anyway.
Only on Condor Man episodes.
Well, you can see me go through the 5 stages of grief in the Condor Man episode. That is like I'm really dealing with the fact that there'll never be a Condor Man 2.
Exactly, except for comic book form.
Well, does that count? It does to me. I wrote down, this is the epitome of style over substance.
Mm-hmm.
This film looks okay. Like it look actually.
Well,
okay is no. I'm actually going to stick to my guns. Okay is doing it a disservice. I think this film looks pretty good. I think some of the CG work is shoddy.
Oh yeah,
like there is some real ropey stuff. There's like a tram sequence that looks awful. The skydiving sequence, dreadful.
The plane. All I could think of was Die Another Day when I was watching that CG plane fly through the air. When you mentioned it's their James Bond,
but it made the Die Another Day look good.
Well, the thing is, like, it makes you a lot more forgiving of Die Another Day because that's a movie from 2002,
and they did that practically.
Well, there's the CG plane in Die Another Day that's fake.
Oh, that bit, yeah. But like the fight inside the plane is real.
Sure, but you look at like the CG plane in Die Another Day versus the CG plane here, and you go, how is this 20 years of progress?
I think there's an over reliance on CG these days, and
Yeah.
this is proof of my point. But yeah, I think it looks good. I think you've got good looking actors.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you've got the matinee idol himself, Ryan Gosling, just soaking up everyone staring at him. Anna de Armas looking drop dead. Chris Evans flexing his muscles with a ungodly mustache and no socks on his shoes, but somehow it works.
An obscenely tight, like, sweater vest or something.
Yeah, he likes to wear sweater vests when he's a villain.
Yeah,
because he wears one too in Knives Out.
Yeah.
And so that, like, you can look at it from like a glossy veneer and be like, yeah, it was fun. Like, it was fine. It was a Netflix film. That's all I come to expect from it. And I think a lot of people have been conditioned to think about that with Netflix films. Like, oh, it was okay. It was a Netflix film.
Yeah.
But then when you actually like look at what this film is trying to tell you and the story it's trying to tell you, at the end you just sort of realize nothing happened particularly, and I don't know anything about any of these characters.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly ask anyone who would claim to be a fan of this film to tell me one thing about Sierra 6.
I didn't even know his name until we got to the end of the, like, oh no, he's listed as 6. Because, like, yeah, the book, when I guess I was reading the synopsis, seeing, like, the name of the character being thrown around, and I was like, oh, he had a name?
Like, he calls him at the start of the film in the prison, so he doesn't
Yeah,
mention his name there.
But it's, like, real, like, glossy, like, it's tossed off once and you don't even internalize it.
Yeah, I know he likes bubblegum,
Yep.
I guess. Like,
Yep.
and I remember, historically, I can't remember the film, but you and I had a bit of a clashing of heads
Okay.
about a film in the past. And I chastised you for saying, like, it's a spy. Why do you need to know much about him? And you were like, I don't know anything about this guy. I should know something about him. He has no character traits. And we kind of went back and forth a little bit. I can't remember what the film was.
I remember that too. And it was like a really funny back and forth. But I don't remember what it was. It was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago. But I had the similar experience that you did to this. Like, once you get past the veneer of it being Ryan Gosling, who at one point is referred to as Ken Doll Brain, which I thought was funny, given where he ended up.
Did they know he was doing Barbie at that point?
I wondered about that. I felt like it had to be that, but I don't know what the timeline is, because Barbie was 2024.
Yeah, I don't know if he was attached at that point.
Maybe.
It felt kind of coincidental.
Yeah, maybe it was like he'd just been cast and they added it in because it was funny, or Chris Evans said it on the day and they were like, oh, that's staying in.
Sure.
But, like, once you get past all of that, it like a Ken doll. Once you get past the pretty exterior, it's empty inside. And this film is. There is nothing original here. It is trying to be a James Bond film, but flailing and failing miserably. It's such a sad thing when, like, all these American productions try and make their own James Bond, and they like this is and like try and put it through this process of, you know, all these marketing panels and, you know, preview screenings to get feedback and stuff. And you end up with this homogenized mess that doesn't mean anything. There's no personality to this film. There's no quirkiness. Yes, there's like little jokes and people throwing off quips. It's like a Marvel film.
It is a lot like a Marvel film.
But once you get a little bit deeper in some of the Marvel films, you go back to like Iron Man and stuff, that actually had some context and some subtext and sometimes a story to tell or a moral to share. Modern day Marvel films, not so much, but this film feels exactly like that. Like, there is nothing there. It is empty calories. It is, as I said, style over substance.
And when you criticize like Marvel films, I feel like, and I'm not referring to you, I mean just in general, when people say that, I think they're really referring to this post Endgame output a lot.
Yeah.
Which feels like it constantly undercuts itself out of almost insecurity.
Yeah.
Whereas like when you look back, like the Marvel films at their best really did a great job balancing like fun character interactions. Like I think of like just a moment, I'll name a Chris Evans moment in Infinity War where Groot and him are on the battlefield. And Groot says, I am Groot. And Captain America turns and is like, I am Steve Rogers. And it's like a tossed off little moment, speaks to both the characters.
Yeah.
The way that like Captain America is so solemn and respectful to Groot in the way he introduces himself.
Mm-hmm.
But it says so much, and it's a fun moment that the audience can have a laugh at as well, but it's all grounded in character.
But also in a moment of like high tension, which is that battle sequence.
It's sort of like a breather.
It gives you a respite. Yeah, a little moment to go, oh yeah, because there are heroes here and we're having fun.
But then it'll also have an emotional moment like the death of Gamora.
Yeah.
Which you see how that weighs on Thanos as a character and also how that weighs on Star-Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And it's dealt with seriously. And I think like Marvel at its best handles those two aspects very well. And I look at a movie like this, which is the Russo brothers bringing writers from Marvel over. So there's a lot of connectivity there going on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it just doesn't have it. It felt like to me, I guess I'll give my thoughts.
Well, no, hang on. I want to hear your thoughts, but like to your point, you're talking about like the death of Gamora, for instance, and like, hey,
Yeah.
it hit me. I got a little
Yeah.
bit misty-eyed, I think, when that first happened.
Yeah.
Did you feel anything when Billy Bob Thornton blew himself up with a grenade?
No, I did laugh though.
Yeah. I like, oh, okay. There goes our mentor character. Bye.
It was also like an impotent act because it really didn't achieve anything.
No, it killed 2 henchmen.
Yeah. Like whoop-de-doo.
Yeah. Chris Evans magically managed to survive a grenade.
Yeah, just dove out of the way. So I was like, okay. But there's a line at the start of this movie that sums it entirely up.
Okay.
You have Ryan Gosling in the prison meeting room, and Billy Bob Thornton says to him, I get it. You're glib. That's the movie. It's like you sit there for 2 hours and you go, I get it. You're glib about this. This is a movie that, for some reason, takes a very simple plot and makes it wildly convoluted, even though the whole time you're going, well, no, I think I understand where this is going. Like, why is it making it so confusing when it seems like a pretty straight A to B to C to D,
Mm-hmm.
but it constantly makes it like as confusing as it can for reasons I don't really understand. But it's also constantly undercutting anything. It's like whether it's character depth, whether it's emotion, you immediately have to have, whether it's Chris Evans or another character, Ryan Gosling, make a snarky comment that completely just deflates the moment. So you go, okay, I'm not emotionally connected to anything that's going on in this movie. The plot's overly confusing. It has that kind of ugly Netflix sheet on a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you want me to take from this? If you want to make kind of a propulsive, kind of lunk-headed action movie on Netflix, make it 90 minutes. Just have like the Gray Man, just on the run, 90 minutes, barreling through, and play with momentum that way. Whereas this movie just constantly like undercuts everything. It has like moments, like very strange moments, like a lot of things dealing with child abuse, for example, with the character's backstory, which Shea Wiggum, there's a cameo that must have been a lot of fun to film. But it's like, it undercuts itself constantly, but then we'll be like, well, everyone, here's a serious backstory about what happened to my brother and my father and my tragic backstory. Okay, quick, throw in the quips. The audience might be getting uncomfortable.
Or you've got like Alfre Woodard's dying of cancer.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, I'm going to make a joke about this.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. So I guess we don't care?
Yeah. And it also felt to me like this movie, when you look at it, and you said this earlier about like a package that you're selling, you look at the casting of this movie, you can't really ask for better in terms of casting to type.
No.
Ryan Gosling is like a taciturn sort of loner character who's like a figure of action. I mean,
Good word.
yeah, like perfect casting. Chris Evans is kind of the kind of wisecracking kind of bad guy. Perfect. Anna de Armas, we've seen she's very capable in action sequences. Great casting. All these people are Billy Bob Thornton is like kind of the mentor or kind of leader character.
Curmudgeonly mentor.
Curmudgeon-y. Yeah, perfect. But it's like they've taken all these people who in other movies are fantastic in these types and given you the blandest form of this humanly possible. So you see like Chris Evans and you're like, boy, he was really good in Knives Out. Or Ryan Gosling, you're like, he was really great in Drive. Ana de Armas, you think of like No Time to Die. And you go like, yeah, they were really great in other movies. But here, it's really boilerplate stuff that I feel like when their careers are said and done many years down the road, these are not roles that will be brought up.
Oh, this is not making anyone's real. And I was thinking about Ana de Armas, as I often do.
Sure.
I mean, who doesn't? But
you're a fan of de Armas.
I've never heard that said before. That's fantastic.
You're welcome.
Cam has saved it. I am the one now flagging when it comes to puns. This is
right.
dreadful. It's a bad place to be. No, I am a Ana de Armas fan. I am self-confessed on that. I put my hand up to it. But we did Ghosted a few years ago. wasn't great.
No.
She was good in No Time to Die. We also spoke. I mean, we've both seen the John Wick film she did. Yeah,
Yeah.
we did a little declassified on that.
Yeah, I think sort of modestly enjoyed it.
Yeah,
She was
it was
great.
fine. She was great, but like I appreciate on one hand that the film doesn't lean into what a lot of those other films have lent into, which is like Ana de Armas' sex pot.
Mm-hmm.
Like this film never really ever does anything to try and sell her in that mode. Whereas like you can say No Time to Die does it, put her in that dress. Ballerina, well, they put her in all sorts of outfits and they do try and sell the sex appeal because she even tries to like honeypot someone at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And Ghosted, she's sold as this like sexy spy that Chris Evans must like get with. He travels half the way around the world just to be with her. There's even a slow motion scene where you see her walk into a room with a dress on. Like there is sort of a male gaze thing going on with that. So I appreciate the restraint that they show here. Unfortunately, they don't give her anything else to use. And so I'd rather they just gone down the route of making her a sex pot.
Like, what does she contribute to this movie? She's basically like a plot device who will step in and save him in a moment where he needs her, like,
Yeah.
darting Chris Evans. But beyond that,
But it's completely like asexual.
yes.
There is never there's not any steam with anyone in this film. There is no sex.
That feels like a carryover from the Marvel universe as well.
Do you think that's what it is? I think it's more just like Netflix algorithmed to death.
Probably. It probably is more that, but that is a common criticism of the Marvel universe as well, that there's just no heat between anyone.
But if you put James Bond in that position
Mm-hmm.
of Ryan Gosling as like he's saved by Ana de Armas's whatever her character's name is, I can't remember and don't frankly care to learn. Bond would make a joke and probably a mild flirt.
Sure, I had to look up her name. It's Danny Miranda in this movie. I did not realize that.
Sure.
Yeah, I remembered Chris Evans' name was Lloyd, but beyond that, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's a real waste of talent with this, but they're spoilt for it, and they don't use any of it.
Well, look at Julia Butters showing up as Billy Bob Thornton's niece
Mm-hmm.
in this movie, and she was incredible in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, acting opposite DiCaprio, and they basically cast her in pretty much the same role here, more or less, kind of precocious, wise beyond her years kid,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, oh, this is a really good actress, but all I'm thinking about now is a better movie she appeared in, and it seems like that's the driving force of the Ryan Gosling character, is this relationship, that they actually have to stop the movie dead to flash back 2 years to just give us like a 4-minute scene of him babysitting and why she matters. And you're like, oh man, this is really thin in a movie that has the time to flesh things out.
The thing that made me laugh enough about it is the person I think who is most charismatic is the person who's barely in this film, and that's Dhanush.
Yeah, who definitely showed up. Maybe they told him you might get a spin-off, so he's like, I gotta deliver big time.
Sure, maybe. He actually has like a bit of a mystique to him. There's like a little bit of a flair to the character there. There's a moral code. There's all sorts of stuff. I know more about him than I do our protagonist.
Yeah, and that's the problem, is like Gosling can bring a lot to a character you don't know very much about in movies like, I mentioned Drive, but Only God Forgives. He's really great doing the similar kind of thing. You don't know a ton about the characters. They're very internal, and that is a Gosling specialty. He's very internal in First Man as well, where he played Neil Armstrong. But there's a lot that's kind of invited in by his performance, and here it feels like as much as Gosling is, following in that footsteps of kind of things he's done before,
Mm-hmm.
just the filmmaking isn't allowing you to connect to his character.
I don't know what I like on a macro as opposed to we'll get into the micro in a minute. I don't know where the failing is necessarily. My gut instinct is to point it at the Russos.
That's what I think. I think it's a huge tone problem, but I think like their direction is thoroughly just slick and superficial.
Well, back to my style over substance point.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a real shame because I remember having a nice time watching it in the theaters, and then like whether I had my grumpy critic hat on or something when I watched it the second time, I don't know. But then also you look at like fan scores and Metacritic and stuff, and there's a lot of people who don't like this film.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I worry this is what people think about when they think about the James Bond films, who've never seen them.
James Bond goes to fewer locations than this movie.
Yeah, but like, they actually makes them count.
Yeah. They go to like 27 locations in this movie.
Oh, I think you can make a funny bit of artwork of doing all of the like text over the screen location things that this film does.
Sure.
There are so many of those. But let's get into it.
Hmm.
Likes. I've got a couple. There are things this film did well, I think.
Me too.
Yeah. Why don't you start us off?
Dhanush is, I think, by and large, the big takeaway. His character of Avik San, who I think is called like the Lone Wolf or something like that,
Yeah.
shows up and is like an injection of energy into this movie when
Yeah.
it needs it bad, because it's throwing things at you like the big train action scene, for example, and it's just like kind of not connecting. But then he shows up and shows you something that I think the movie has been robbing you of, which is like really well choreographed action leading up to that.
Well, the hand-to-hand combat scene with Ryan Gosling, yeah, or the one with Anna de Armas as well. Both great.
Yeah, well, once they start throwing in the CG smoke and stuff like that, I think they get pretty rough.
Sure.
But there's something about like the physicality of Dhanush and the way they choreograph and film his fight sequence, which actually shows off what he can do in a action scene. It's really strong stuff. And I loved his fight with Anna de Armas. I thought that was a lot of fun. And he brings like, he's basically playing the asset kind of character from a Jason Bourne movie.
Yeah.
The guy who gets a call to show up because, the higher ups, Regé-Jean Page's character, they need help. Who do they call? They call in the Lone Wolf. But like, this is a case where the Lone Wolf delivers. He doesn't feel like an anonymous, was it Lark agent in like the Bourne Legacy? Like the guy who shows up? Lars. I think it was Lars was the name of the organization.
I think
You're
it was
like,
Lars.
I don't know who that guy is.
I think it was LARX. I think something like that. That sounds right.
Okay. Yeah, like, you look at like Vincent Cassel and Jason Bourne. He's memorable.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
like some of those other ones, not so much. And this was a case where like Dhanush shows up and you're like, why am I not like 100% familiar with this guy? He seems to really have gravitas when he shows up. Like there's a soulfulness to this frankly silly character that he is delivering. The action that he can convey is fantastic. I'm not surprised they were looking at spinning him off. Frankly, they should have just scrapped this whole thing and just built a movie around him to start with and done it lower budget, just him doing a martial arts movie on Netflix. That would be pretty cool.
I 100% agree, and I'll add, I suspect the reason why he works, apart from, I'm sure, the actor's charisma and some of the way the scenes were shot with him, is because he never once undercuts his character.
Right.
No one makes a joke about him. He's deadly serious.
Yeah.
I think he's like the only person in this film doesn't make a joke.
Right, yeah.
And in a sea of like undercutting everything with quips, that stands out.
Yeah. And he's like an actor who, works in India and makes lots of movies there and directs some as well. But it's like, this is a clear, like, there is a major talent that we could be making a international star. Like, I appreciate that this movie gave him that platform, and I think actually did a good job in impressing audiences but with his work. But it doesn't feel like anything's followed up on it, that's for sure.
No. I think for me, I've always said like there were moments of visuals I quite appreciate. I thought like this sort of almost a pre-title sequence, I suppose, at the start of the party when he does that original assassination. I thought that looked quite nice.
I like the location with the footsteps, on the glass floor above.
Something interesting I hadn't seen before, really.
Yeah, and actually, I really like the opening of the movie where they have the score, timed with the fireworks going off.
Yeah,
that was cool.
It was a good touch. It was a good touch. I think that's memorable. In terms of moments, I think the other one was sort of passport extraction sequence where he's picked up from the guy who drops him in the well, fighting Chris Evans there. But that gets me to my point. Is obviously you want to talk about Dhanush. I like Chris Evans as a villain. I think he naturally fits into this role. I loved him doing it in Knives Out. I think he works pretty well in this. Like, I don't mind him playing Arch. It's a nice juxtaposition to him playing so sincere when he plays Captain America.
I didn't like him in this.
Okay.
I think we're really split on that one. In that, like, I like Chris Evans when he's Kraken wise.
Sure.
And it's done well. This, to me, it just feels like there's nothing to this character, and there's no menace to me. Like, that's the thing. It's like we see him torturing someone with jumper cables, and the idea is this guy is just a complete psychopath. But it never felt dangerous because it was constantly this kind of light, quippy performance that I just felt like there's no darkness here. This is Chris Evans just kind of like, well, I'll just crack wise and be evil. But if I'm going to have this villain who's going up against the Gray Man, I want to feel tension. And I never felt any tension that Chris Evans was someone who was legitimately scary when he was on screen.
I mean, that going that way would have been nice. I enjoyed seeing him play light. I think I just would have liked to have seen Ryan Gosling be a little less light.
Ryan Gosling is really going one note on this one.
Yeah, it's that whole, like, he kind of played this in Blade Runner, but at least Blade Runner let him do some emotion.
Yeah, that's my like worry about the new Star Wars movie he's doing, Star Wars Starfighter.
I had that note. Like, is this his Star Wars fighter character?
Yeah, like pilot, and in like an X-wing or something like that. That's just
quipping around and like
not even quipping, but just kind of that like more like kind of mythic hero figure, but it comes across as flat like here.
I've only got one more like that kind of feeds into the dislike section. Do you have anything else to bring up in this area?
I think the only other thing I'd say is that like the budget, some of these cases, like when we watched Back in Action, I think that movie had like $180 million budget, and you sat there going, huh? Like,
yeah.
What? Like, that's not possible. Here, I can poke holes at the CG and what have you throughout the movie. But I do think like this looks like a pretty sizable budget movie, especially when I'm looking at like the train sequence at the end. Like, I don't find it particularly exciting, but it does look expensive.
Yeah, I when you said 200 million, I wasn't shocked.
Yeah.
With that cast and that scope, it kind of makes sense.
I've been shocked at some of the budgets for some of these other streaming films. This was a case where I go, this movie is trying to almost do Michael Bay level spectacle in some ways. It doesn't have his sort of sense of there's not the weight to it that Michael Bay will bring, the crushing weight that he can bring, but you can definitely see that they are trying to make this look big.
And when was the last time you said Michael Bay had weight?
I mean, I would say the Transformers movies do. Like, they are crushing to watch.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Like, they don't feel slick and fast and kind of empty.
Yeah.
They're empty. But
they're empty.
In terms of like
they're running on fumes.
Those movies are concussive. They're not something that just kind of like drifts over your eyes and you just kind of go like, "What did I just watch?"
Oh, it's like a wall of sound and effects. Like,
yes.
It's just like it's like the eye drops scene in Clockwork Orange.
That is a perfect term. It is a wall that is hitting you. Yeah.
Well, that's a style of editing back to the sort of Phil Spector style in the 60s and 70s, a wall of sound where like everything was just cranked up to 11 and they just threw it in the mix. So like there's no finesse, it's just whoom.
Yeah. I mean, I always hear the stories about Michael Bay directing on set, driving around in his golf cart that has monster truck tires. And I'm just like, that translates to the movies I watch from him.
I didn't know he did that,
yeah.
But it completely tracks.
Isn't it awesome?
It is kind of awesome. I kind of want to see a picture of it. I might look it up while we're doing this and just have a look. The last bit is, well, I want to bring a musical cue out of retirement, Cam.
Okay.
Cue up the tenatometer. I brought this out of retirement because this might be the first time, and for those who've never had the tenatometer before, it's a 0 to 10 scale of how complex a plot of a film is. This might be the only time I've ever encountered a 0.
Well, that's the weird thing is, first off, this is a like?
Well, because it is a very digestible film.
Yeah, but I think this falls into the negatives.
Like, you sit someone down in front... I did say before this leads into the negatives because, like, for us as spy movie viewers, this is empty calories. But if you were to say, put someone... This is the thing. We always have these discussions online, like, what's a good starting off James Bond film? And you Living Daylights or something like that. Whatever, Goldfinger or GoldenEye or Casino Royale.
You think Living Daylights is the best intro for people?
It's a pretty nice one.
Come on, get out of here. You're not introducing them to a Timothy Dalton one.
I quite like the relationship between the two of them.
That's crazy that you think that's an introductory Bond film.
I don't think it's a bad one.
You're nuts.
You're nuts. What are you going to suggest? At least I gave some. What have you got?
Introductory? I'd say Goldfinger.
Oh yeah, with that great roll around with Pussy Galore. What that'll bring in the fans. Go on, Cam. Defend.
Goldfinger, GoldenEye. I think GoldenEye, Casino Royale, 2006.
Hey, your mind first went to Goldfinger. I'll leave that there.
Well,
no, if you are trying to expose someone to a spy movie for the first time, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say The Grey Man is a good place to start, but this is fairly easy viewing. It's not stretching the mind.
Sure. Neither is like Spy Kids 4. Start there too.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Agents, we don't expect you to talk. We expect you to buy a subscription to our Patreon.
Yee. That's right. Over on the SpyHards Patreon, we're covering all your favorite spy TV shows, as well as popular films from the most iconic secret agent actors of all time.
Cam, why don't you share some intel on our latest assignment?
Scott, as our final entry in the Halloween 2025 Patreon Spooktacular Extravaganza, we are going to risk it all to look beautiful. And how are we going to do that? We are going to tackle the 1992 Robert Zemeckis supernatural comedy, Death Becomes Her. Will the killer lineup of Bruce Willis, Goldie Hawn, and Meryl Streep knock us dead? Or will they just have us flatlining? Find out.
So, tune your dial to patreon.com/spyhards and spice up your podcast feed.
But before Nick Knack runs out of Tabasco, resume the Spy Jinx.
Okay, dislikes, there's a lot to talk about. I want to talk about the CG.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've ever seen a film make the opening sequence to Moonraker look good.
Wait, the opening sequence to Moonraker does look good.
Well, it looks good in the sense of it was done in like... Oh, I'm talking about like the skydive.
Yeah, it looks incredible in Moonraker.
Oh, yeah, the bit that clearly looks like Roger Moore and Richard Keel.
You're taking shots at the opening of Moonraker?
A little bit, yeah.
Oh my god, this is heresy here. You know what? You can answer those emails and tweets. I have nothing to say about this one.
Hey, no, it's an achievement, but like there is at no point are you ever going to convince me that's Roger Moore or Richard Keel.
Sure, but I'm watching real stunts and physicality that is actually exciting.
I'm agreeing with you because this makes that look great.
It already looked great.
Okay. I'm not sure it does, Cam, but all right.
Send those tweets to @SpyHards, and Cam will be taking the week off of social media.
Oh, the week. Oh. He's been hard at work on our social media. The guy doesn't have the logins to half of our social media. He wouldn't even know what a tweet is. Get out of here. You want to come at me, bro. This is not the time and place. Social media, I will destroy you.
Okay. There are others. You know what? Like, let's take a movie that is in the Marvel universe.
Okay.
And because it's I think more relevant as a comparison point, which is the Black Widow finale where she dives out of the tower in the sky or whatever it was.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And like comes back to Earth. I think that was.
Well, that looks better than this.
And that is something that was paying homage to Moonraker, I guess, but also looked like a CG mess. And I was nostalgic for that Black Widow sequence when I was watching the Ryan Gosling. First off, the plane looked terrible when he was like fighting in the plane and he had the hole in the wall.
Well, there were bits that looked like a plane, and it was fine. But as soon as the wall disappeared,
yeah,
and then it's like, okay, we've entered to we're in CG land now.
Yeah, this is worse looking than Die Another Day in like that plane sequence. And then when he goes out the window, you're just like, they should have scrapped this. This was a bad idea. Like they clearly could not achieve this at all.
No. And I did you pick up on a bit of connective tissue to a previous SpyHards episode? Actor we've spoken about.
In terms of someone who was in that scene?
Yeah.
No. No. Wait, who was it?
The actor's name is Rob Kaczynski. I'm sorry, Rob.
Oh!
But he played the cyborg dude in Section 31, which is an absolute piece of trash.
Oh, I thought...
He is like the secondary thug guy. He's like sitting down at the bench.
Yeah.
That's him.
I recognized it, but I thought it was Dash Mihok.
No, Rob Kaczynski.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And
Well, it
speaking
makes
of,
sense.
joining us later this week is Rob Kaczynski.
No,
I'm kidding.
no.
No. He won't come on the show now.
You know what though? It's like him fighting Ryan Gosling is maybe a story, but like, yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Does anyone want to hear that story? We saw the download numbers on that ghosted interview. Yeah.
He's fine in the movie. He does nothing.
I'm sure he's a lovely human being. I'm sure he pets animals when he goes out for walks, all sorts of good stuff. But yeah, that plane sequence is absolutely atrocious, and so is that like tram that he's riding on in sort of like, is it Berlin, I think, or something that they're in at that point? I can't remember.
You're talking about the train sequence.
It's a tram because it's on rails, but yes, the train sequence, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the problem with the tram sequence to me isn't so much the concept, which I think like it's fine. It doesn't
Oh,
look
the concept is fine. The look is bad.
yeah, it doesn't look infinitely worse to me than like the one in Shang-Chi,
Sure.
which was also I think on a tram. That one was a little better because of the choreography going on. But in terms of like the visuals, it's pretty on par. It's got that kind of marble sheen to it where it looks pretty fake.
Yeah.
But it was more like the entire staging of it just was really stupid. Which was like you have this complete war on the police going on with all these agents, right? Just taking out all these police officers. I'm sorry, no one would have escaped this. This city would have been in lockdown in this circumstances. Like it just makes no sense. It feels like the movie I think wants sometimes for you to think it's smart, but it's actually really dumb. And it's like sequences like that really underline it. But also like there are scenes where like suddenly it'll show the people in a tram, and the tram has been in the middle of a war zone. Like anyone in the tram is looking out the window going, I better get on the floor. But they'll have a scene where someone, shoots a machine gun, and it'll show the inside of the tram and bullets, piercing the glass, and people reacting to the bullets as if they didn't know something was going on.
Sure.
And it's so weird.
I mean, I'm a bit sort of deaf to the world when I'm out walking with my headphones on, so that might happen.
This is a war zone. This is not just two guys like scrapping out on the street.
No, I jest. Yes, you would of course notice it, and there is moments like that. But there's also like, well, we talked about like the lack of sex in this film.
Yeah.
And I'm not for gratuitous sex and violence, despite Algie wanting me to want more gratuitous sex and violence. But this film has no sex. This film has no like particular like gore to it either.
Yeah.
Like there are some bits and bobs, like some fingers missing and stuff, but like all of those bystanders that are in that square, there are a few that get hit by bullets. There's no blood, and everyone just basically gets away. It really has no teeth.
What do you think this movie's rated?
Oh.
American ratings. I don't know the UK.
Do you have a 12?
PG-13.
That then.
Yeah, it's a PG-13, which means they have to remove all impact from the violence, which is why you have a lot of people getting shot. I mean, this is not a PG-13 movie. I'm sorry, like I just don't understand how you have movies like this, which are just like 2 hours of people getting gunned down.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we removed like the intensity of the bangs and like the impact of the bullet hits, so therefore it's PG-13. I'm like, I guess this doesn't make any sense.
But the child abuse section's absolutely fine to be left in.
Sure, like everything like that. Yeah, and it's like everything to do with like Chris Evans torturing people. Sure, it's all fine. Ripping out Billy Bob Thornton's fingernails. Oh, that's all fine. It's just like the rating system is completely broken with a movie like this. And that's a whole other conversation. But to me, like, it's the fact that it's also walking that line.
Yeah.
In that it wants to be this kind of like balls to the wall, violent action throughout, sociopathic characters tossing off quips as they kill people. But it's also PG-13, so we got to pull all our punches.
Yeah, and no one could be seen like even kissing.
No.
If you want to make the American James Bond, I think you need to have a little bit of color.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, frankly, the American James Bond is Jason Bourne at this point.
Yeah.
Like, that's who it is. They should be saying, we'd like our own Jason Bourne. Because, frankly, I think the American James Bond is pretty nailed down at this point.
I think so, too.
You could also argue Ethan Hunt as well.
Yeah, both long-standing franchises and both potentially have a future. So,
yeah.
Any more on the dislikes, Cam?
I found just like the plot, and this is kind of going back to what you were saying, like the plotting of this movie is like, it's so simple. It is like just the ultimate MacGuffin. We have a chip. This chip has all the bad guy information on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the plot. We have to get this. And they turn it into something that's so convoluted and constantly trying to find ways to confuse the audience. And like, there's a character we haven't even brought up, Jessica Henwick, as Suzanne Brewer, who's like kind of at odds.
There's two characters. We haven't brought up the other one either. Regé-Jean Page we've barely mentioned, which I
did
do
mention
have an extra
him.
thing to. Well, I've got something to say about him too,
But you basically have all these characters who are at odds with one another, and all they exist to do is to confuse what is an incredibly basic plot.
sure.
And it doesn't add value. It's not like you go, well, you know what? Like, in other spy movies, that worked. You know, like the villain plot of Notorious, which popped into my head because the poster's right behind Scott right now, is pretty basic stuff. But it's the characters that enrich that story.
Sure.
None of these are real characters. Like, I can't tell you anything about Jessica Henwick's character. And so all you're doing is wasting time trying to make this plot more complicated than it is. And it probably works fine in the book. Like, the book probably takes its plot. And the book is, it's closer to this movie than, say, like the Matt Helms were.
Mhm.
Like, it is, there are set pieces and stuff in the movie that are taken from the book. But I would imagine it delves into more of the complications of things in ways that make sense. Whereas here, it feels like they're telling Marvel plots are not immensely dense.
Mhm.
And that's what the Russo brothers have specialized in. And it feels like they're kind of doing a Marvel plot, but trying to also go, well, hold on, we're making a spy film, so we need to make this really complicated and complex for the audience. But it doesn't work. It's frustrating. And it felt like I was constantly ahead of the characters.
Well, you've also got like little mini fetch quests.
Yeah.
Like, got to go get a passport, and then that causes a whole shootout. Got to go get nothing.
And what did that lead to?
It just held the film up for 15 minutes.
It led to an escape sequence I didn't understand.
No. And then you've got that led to the train thing, right? Didn't it?
It did, but do you understand how he escaped that pit?
Oh no, the logistics of how I think he made a water main burst and then it filled up with water.
And then he did something with bullets and like the powder, like gunpowder, and
Some sort of compression explosion, and then it forced the lid
guess.
open.
I guess.
I don't know. I mean, he MacGyvered it. I'm not. Bonds have done weirder things. I'm not. Of all the faults of this film, that's not one I'm going to come up against.
But the pleasure in that type of sequence is also them giving you an inside look at like how they do this. Like,
Sure.
okay, here is a gadget that I know if I do this, this, and this, then this will work. And so you're actually watching someone think through a problem and actually solve it in real time. Versus here, where I'm like, I don't understand what just happened. So then I rewound and watched the sequence again. I'm like, I still don't understand what happened.
Well, that's not designed to be understood. It's designed to be consumed on sofa. So watch more film on Netflix.
True. Yeah. Just look at your phone. And, well, that is something they talk a lot about now, which was not talked about in 2022, which is that a lot of Netflix films are created with the idea of second screening taken into account. And so characters speak exposition as much as they can because the audience is looking at their phone. And so they don't have to look up. They can just, like if you had it pop up on a computer screen, for example, people may not see it because they're looking at their, at their computer screens, basically, their phones. And so this is a movie that's actually very guilty of that, but it's happening at a time before we were aware that that was something that they were really actually putting into their programming.
Yeah, and they do say they restack. Like, oh, I can't believe we have to go here to get this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what they're doing. Okay, and Ryan Gosling, I did it too, is trapped, and then you look at your phone, and then bang, he's out. Oh, he escaped. Cool.
Yeah, and it does that so much throughout this movie.
Yeah.
I couldn't understand even like just in terms of the stupidity of the plot. Like Chris Evans has Ryan Gosling dead to rights multiple times, and it's just like, well, I am just gonna drag this out, and it's not like a Bond film where there's like. And that's something that's ridiculed all the time about Bond villains telling their plots. But, like, usually there's, like, some sort of playfulness.
Well, Austin Powers killed that, really.
Yeah. But there's something about it done here where I don't think they realize it's, like, intended as part of the tropes of, like, say, like, the Bond universe. It just feels like the characters recognize that they have 2 hours to fill, and so they can't kill each other. And then it's like, okay, let's dart Chris Evans. Okay, now let's put him, like, basically in the back of a car where he can easily escape. Yeah. It does a lot of things like that, which... are just like really dumb and intended to just basically give the characters easy escapes.
Mhm.
And it just drove me nuts.
I'm with you, buddy. The only other thing I'll add to dislikes, and we'll go to other notes and then the knock list, is I used to be a big proponent of Regé-Jean Page maybe taking on the mantle of 007 moving forward.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank this film for putting that to bed.
Black Bag, he was very good.
I would say very good.
I'd say, you know what? I remember.
I find it to be quite one note.
That's true. That's true. I'm curious if his Saint TV series will actually get rolling, because I would like to see him try something like this, maybe with more confident material. But I remember a lot of the kind of the uproar about him potentially playing Bond, and I had never seen Bridgerton, and this was my first exposure to him, and I was like, yeah. Okay. He was better in Dungeons and Dragons. He was kind of fun there.
He was kind of fun, but he was also playing a very straight-laced, like, he was a paladin and was just very, like, there was no comedy to his thing.
He was a little
It was
quirky.
just a straight delivery.
It was a little quirky.
I don't recall him being, I remember him being very, like, deadpan, and that was the joke.
I look at the Soderbergh movie Black Bag as the one movie where I said, okay, this guy has star quality for sure in terms of being like on the big screen.
Of the ones you've mentioned, and I've seen a bit of Bridgerton, the Black Bag is his best performance.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I've not seen everything he's done. But this film just reminded me, like, he's not got the charisma to be Bond. He might look good in the tuxedo, but he's not got the prowess underneath. There's nothing under the hood. The car looks good, but it's a 1-liter engine underneath. I can't believe I made a car analogy. There you go.
Next thing you know, it'll be a sports analogy.
Oh, God. Can you imagine? Right. Final notes. I've got a couple. Cam, do you want to lead us off?
I thought the setup of the Chris Evans calling in every hit team was a lot more effective when they did the same thing in John Wick 2.
Yeah, because the different teams had sort of different things, like quirks.
Yeah, and that led into John Wick 3, and they made that exciting, whereas here it just meant an endless disposable army of bad guys who apparently were all terrible shots and bad at their jobs.
Terrible shots, bad at their jobs, and very well organized together.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas you'd expect it to be a lot of lone wolves.
Like, there's a absurdity to this movie, and just the fact the Gray Man can evade hails of gunfire at all time. And you could say, well, Bond does that. Not as much as this. This is, like, overblown.
Well, he's having, like, grenade launchers fired at him, and he's just tanking the thing. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Bond got killed by a bomb.
I also was a little confused at one point. They were in Prague, and they actually were in Prague, and I've been there, and they were outside the museum, but they were referring to it as the Opera House. And I was a little confused as to why that was. Maybe I was just confused in that moment. Maybe I missed a line of dialogue or something, but I was like, that's the museum. I've been there.
Maybe there was a scene in an opera house they cut.
No. They were setting up the geography of the one of the action scenes.
Couldn't tell you. Maybe they just liked the entrance and wanted to say it was that.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, so 2 questions. 1, we have Sierra 6. We have 007. We have 006 and a half. We have all kinds of numbers.
He does say 007 was taken in this movie.
He does. So, if you could take a number, what number are you taking?
This really sucks because 6 is my lucky number. And wound up with the Gray Man. So this is just depressing.
Well, you could do Charlie 6.
Why would I be Charlie?
Cam.
Oh, I get you. Okay. I guess Charlie 6 is such a lame name. Why would I want to be called that?
It's better than Gary 7.
Yeah, I guess so. I'll take 66. Agent 66.
Okay. Yeah. Add 3 more and you've got mine.
Oh, geez. Get out of here.
Oh, wow. The mental math Cam had to do. You leave every gap of that in the edit, sir. Do not cut that down.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, I don't really know. I should have had an answer to the question. I'll go with 69. But like my spy film is like a 60s spy comedy.
Okay. This really paid off.
Like a groovy hangout film. Agent 69.
Basically Austin Powers. Okay.
I mean, I've got the teeth.
Sure. And you're British.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I know that. Wait, what? Am I? And lastly, this is probably a nice question to lead us onto the knock list. Of all the Netflix spy films we've watched thus far, and there are still a few more we need to go back and do, or we haven't tackled yet.
Are there? I think we've done almost all of them.
Well, I guess Without Remorse is an Amazon thing.
It is. There's a couple streaming ones, but I think in terms of Netflix, this brings us up to date to the best of my knowledge.
Oh yeah, I guess Citadel is a series, and it was on Amazon.
Yeah, which the Russo brothers also are behind.
Yeah, that's been canned anyway. Okay, well, then I guess we can firmly answer the question. What's the best?
Okay, so let's just, for the audience at home, you've got Heart of Stone, you've got The Gray Man, you've got Back in Action, and Spy Kids 5. Those are the 4 that are popping to my mind.
I thought I'd give it a Google. There's The Union, you forgot.
Oh, I did forget The Union.
How could you?
Well.
My Spy was Amazon, right?
Yes.
Okay, so it doesn't count. So, for some reason it's listed Candlelight in Algeria.
Get out of here.
James Mason, you were the first Netflix spy star? Wow. You go. Okay, so a rough list of the Netflix spy films is as follows. Heart of Stone, The Union, Back in Action, The Gray Man, Spy Kids, Armageddon. Am I missing any, Cam?
I don't think so. I think that's all of them. Some people sometimes fudge Red Notice into that category, but it doesn't count.
So, what's the best?
Oh, this is a depressing list, Scott. This is a really depressing list.
It doesn't indicate a good... like, if this was a health checkup, I think the doctor would be calling in for a second opinion on this one.
Okay, I think I can answer this, and I'm shocked at my answer. I think The Gray Man is the best one.
Yeah.
Followed by The Union.
Yeah.
Followed by Back in Action.
Yep.
Heart of Stone.
Yep.
Spy Kids, Armageddon.
I think that's my list too.
I think you could swap maybe like a couple around, but I think that's pretty much the list.
I don't think we could improve it. There's like a little bit of tweaking. Some people might prefer Heart of Stone to Back in Action. They might prefer like Gal Gadot to Cameron Diaz.
Sure.
That's personal preference. I don't think they're both 2-star films.
Yeah, like some might put The Union a little bit lower. To me, like that one was, at least it felt like it moved quick. A lot of these did not.
No. Well, let us know. I'll probably post about it on social media at some point this week. What's your list? How would you rank the Netflix spy films so far? They could surprise us with a good one. Who knows?
The sad fact is, I gave this film 2 stars on Letterboxd. So that tells you, like,
Sure.
as a list, how I regard this list.
Yeah. The best is 2 stars.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. That is The Grey Man. We have one final duty.
Knock list.
Knock list. Knock list.
Knock list. Knock list. The knock list.
Knock list. Knock list. Knock list. You need to pick a side.
The need to see official classics, the best of the spy movie genre. Cam, the question goes to you first, sir. Knock list. Is it grey or is it colourful?
This is Netflix should be very happy with themselves. They made something that people watched on their second screens, and you know what? If we ever do the knock list of movies you can not watch but just stare at your phone for 2 hours, maybe this makes the list, but it's not making this one.
I have to completely agree. It was a painless watch. It didn't hurt me, but I felt no emotion.
Yeah, I actually dreaded going back to it. I was like, oh god, I don't want to rewatch this. The same way I felt rewatching Heart of Stone.
Sure.
But I think this one glossed over painlessly enough. So yeah.
Sure. Well, there you go. 2 no's, and as such, it is not making the knock list. I don't think we need to talk about any other lists, though, Cam.
I don't think so, no.
But It's not making the knock list. The dossier on the film is complete and filed as classified. Cam, the question goes to you, sir. What are we talking about next week?
It's Halloween season, which means that we are going to be tackling a spooky spy film. We are going to be looking. It's a little bit different. Last year we did Possession, which was like really out there, crazy body horror. This year we're going to do something a little more in the classic mold, or at least spawned from a classic. We're going to go back to the days of Universal Horror in the 1940s and look at the Invisible Man spin-off, Invisible Agent, from 1942.
There you go. We're going to go back to Cam's heyday of 1942 and take a look at the Invisible Agent. If you like what you heard on this episode, please consider joining us over on our Patreon. You may have noticed we have ads now throughout the show every 2 seconds. It's a bit much. No, I'm kidding. There's a couple of gently placed ads throughout the show which help us pay for the show. But if you want to have your dose of SpyHards completely ad-free, well, we've got a solution, baby. And that's over on the Patreon. Come and find us at patreon.com/SpyHards. You can get all of our episodes completely ad-free and a bunch of bonus episodes too. Over 100 bonus episodes for the low, low price of starting at $3 per month. It's well worth it. But then again, I would say that.
Of course you would. And you'd be right, damn it.
Oh, thanks for backing me up, Cam. First time for everything, eh? And if you want to continue the conversation about us, if you want to debate our ranking of the Netflix spy movies, come and find us on social media at SpyHards, SpyHards. You'll find us everywhere talking about spy movies. It's what I do, and I probably should get a life.
I'll be taking this week off of social media.
That's my. If anything I remember about this episode is your little like line in the sand, like, "Oh, I'll stop doing social media." Like, yeah, like you ever started. I think I had to ask you to post my birthday post for me. Good Lord.
You ordered me to.
Yeah, that was it. But until next time, Cam.
Yes?
Remove yourself from my personal space.